Ravens fan, the controversy is heating up. The MVP award has been announced, and Josh Allen took it home, but many people aren't buying this decision. Lamar Jackson had an insane season, dominated on the field, and still got left out. So, was it fair, or is there something behind this choice? Stephen A. Smith, one of the most influential analysts in the NFL, has finally broken his silence and shared a perspective that could change everything in this debate. What he said will make you see this award in a completely different way. Stick with me until the end, because there's a lot in this story that no one is telling you. Go Ravens! This MVP race was one of the closest in recent years, and it's no surprise with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen playing at such a high level. Jackson led the Ravens with his explosive style, mixing precise passes with game-breaking runs that dismantled defenses. He guided Baltimore to a 12-5 record, once again proving why he's one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the league. On the other side, Allen also shined, carrying the Bills to a 13-4 record and surprising many who doubted the team's ability after a rough start. What makes this battle even more intriguing is that both quarterbacks were selected in the same 2018 draft and have been compared ever since. Jackson already had 2 MVPs under his belt and put together another award-worthy season, but Allen had a fantastic year and seemed to be at the center of a narrative that worked in his favor. The MVP award doesn't always go to the player with the best stats. It often goes to the one with the most compelling storyline. And this time, many saw Allen as the guy who saved the Bills and took them further than expected. Even so, the gap between them was razor-thin, leading many to question whether Jackson was more deserving of the trophy. He had a phenomenal season, posting incredible numbers and leading an offense that, at times, looked unstoppable. The problem for him is that after winning 2 MVPs, people now expect him to perform at that level all the time. And when that happens, what should be considered extraordinary starts to feel normal. That brings us to an important point. How a player's performance is perceived can be just as crucial as the numbers he puts up. And that's exactly what Stephen A. Smith touched on when defending Allen's MVP win. The issue wasn't just about who played better, but how each player was viewed throughout the season. When the MVP award was announced and Josh Allen was named the winner, the debate immediately took off. Lamar Jackson had a phenomenal season with eye-popping stats, so why didn't he win? ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith weighed in and brought up a point that caught many by surprise. In his opinion, there was nothing wrong with Allen winning because the way both quarterbacks were perceived throughout the season played a huge role in the voting. Allen was seen as someone who exceeded expectations, while Jackson was viewed as simply doing what was already expected of him. This perspective sparked controversy because, at the end of the day, Jackson had an elite season and still didn't receive the same recognition as Allen. What Smith meant is that the story behind a player's season often matters more than the raw numbers. Allen had a rough start with the Bills, and many thought the team was headed for failure. But he turned things around, carried the squad in clutch moments, and became the biggest narrative of the season. Meanwhile, Jackson entered the year with the expectation of being one of the league's best. So when he played at an elite level, it was just seen as business as usual. But is that fair? If a player has already proven he's elite and keeps dominating, should he be valued less just because he's accustomed everyone to his greatness? That's the big question. Jackson didn't just maintain his high level. He had one of the best seasons of his career. If he had played slightly worse, would he still have been in the MVP conversation? It's strange to think that, for some, he needs to outdo himself every season just to be properly appreciated. And if this debate proves one thing, it's that perception can completely shape how a player is recognized. But when you look at Jackson's numbers, it's clear that he did far more than just meet expectations. Saying Lamar Jackson simply did what was expected this season completely ignores the insane impact he had on the field. The numbers speak for themselves. 4,172 passing yards, 41 touchdown passes, and just 4 interceptions. On top of that, he rushed for 915 yards and added 4 more touchdowns with his legs. Very few quarterbacks in NFL history have been able to dominate both through the air and on the ground like he did. Yet for some, that still wasn't enough to earn him his 3rd MVP award. What's even more impressive is that Jackson achieved all of this in a season full of changes for the Ravens offense. He played under a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, and had to adapt to a system that emphasized the passing game more than he was used to. Despite that, he not only thrived as a passer, but also remained a constant threat on the ground, making Baltimore's offense one of the toughest to stop. What he delivered this year was a massive evolution in his game, not just a repeat of what we've seen before. If any other quarterback had put up these numbers, there would be no debate. They would have won the MVP easily. But with Jackson, the feeling was different. He has set the bar so high that he now has to keep outdoing himself just to be recognized. This raises an important question. How many times does he have to prove he's one of the best before he's finally treated like one? If a season like this wasn't enough to get him the award, what more does he have to do? And this situation highlights the fact that the MVP award isn't always just about performance. Sometimes the narrative outweighs the stats, and that may have been a decisive factor in Allen's selection. Alright, we're already past the halfway mark in this video, but I just noticed you haven't hit that like button yet. That's super important to help YouTube keep showing you my content, and it allows me to keep bringing you more updates. So go ahead and drop a like. It's free, alright? Let's keep going. When it comes to the MVP award, stats alone don't determine the winner. The story behind a player's season can have a much bigger impact than it seems. And that's exactly what happened this year. Josh Allen was seen as a leader who saved a season many thought was lost for the Bills. He faced struggles early in the year, lost key offensive pieces, and still led the team to a 13-4 record. This created the perfect narrative for him to be recognized as the hero of the season. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, has always been at the top of MVP conversation. Since entering the league, he has played at a level few can reach, making people expect greatness from him at all times. When he delivers an unbelievable season, it's not seen as extraordinary, it's just normal. This difference in perception may have been one of the factors that tipped the voting in Allen's favor, even though Jackson had incredible numbers and a massive impact on the Ravens. What's interesting is that this situation isn't new. Other dominant players, like LeBron James in the NBA, have faced the same issue. When someone sets a standard of excellence, expectations shift, and they have to do something even more extraordinary to continue receiving recognition. Jackson did exactly that in 2023, but still, Allen's story carried more weight in the voting process. But Jackson doesn't play for individual awards. What truly matters to him and the Ravens is something much bigger than an MVP, winning the Super Bowl. At the end of the day, the MVP award is an important recognition, but it's not the ultimate goal. Lamar Jackson has already proven he can be the best player in the regular season, and now the focus is different, leading the Ravens to an NFL championship. He already has 2 MVPs on his resume, and at this point, what's missing to cement his legacy is the Vince Lombardi Trophy. If this season proved anything, it's that he has all the tools to make it happen. The Ravens were one of the most dominant teams in the NFL this year, and a huge part of that was because of Jackson. He stepped up in crucial moments, made plays that only a handful of quarterbacks could pull off, and put Baltimore in position to compete for a Super Bowl. Even without the MVP, he remains the heart and soul of the team, and his motivation to prove his worth only grows after this voting outcome. And if there's one thing Jackson has shown throughout his career, it's that he uses doubt as fuel. Every time someone has questioned his talent, he has responded with even more spectacular performances. Losing the MVP might seem disappointing now, but it could also be the extra push he and the Ravens need to come back even stronger in the playoffs. Now, the question remains, will the recognition come when he wins a 3rd MVP or only when he lifts the Lombardi Trophy? In the end, the MVP selection sparked a huge debate. Lamar Jackson had an incredible season, put up impressive numbers, and still didn't win the award. Meanwhile, Josh Allen was seen as someone who exceeded expectations and came out on top in the voting. Stephen A. Smith made it clear that he didn't have a problem with the decision, but the question remained, was the criteria truly fair? Or was Lamar overlooked simply because people already expect that level from him? And you, Ravens fan, do you think Lamar Jackson deserved this MVP? Or was Josh Allen the right choice? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Ravens updates, and leave a like to show your support.